Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? We are here with my teammate Mike, who managed to score a top 16 finish at the MomoCon Regional over the weekend. Mike, what is going on?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I am good. All right, so I know you've been talking about this deck for a little bit, the Spirit Bomb Goku deck, and I think, well, I know actually that you think this is the better yellow deck of like the set 20 stuff, right? You like this much better than Majin Vegeta. Why'd you want to play this deck?
Because they banned Champa, and this deck has Champa on the leader. And so I thought that was cool. And then I don't know, something about like having a Z lead, being able to maximize your Vegito, which is I think that's very important. Like a lot of these decks I see, they can't maximize Vegito's effect that people play. So I want to be able to maximize that. And then just like not having an archetype. Like decks that require archetypes, they're not as fun to play. So when you can like put together 50, 56 cards, whatever you're playing, whatever number of like non-archetype cards, that's more enjoyable for me.
For sure, and I thought this deck needed to use more of its archetype, but as we'll see in the deck, Mike actually just made it a yellow good stuff to kind of tailor his needs, which I think is really, really cool. So we'll check that out in the profile. So leader being 20k, I don't think it's like actually too relevant where people are like freaking out about it, right? Because you're only 20k for what, like one, maybe two turns?
1 to 2 turns, yeah. It just helps against the red decks. That's why I liked it more than all the other yellow decks, honestly, because you can't rush me like in the beginning of the game. It's like, oh, you swung with the 20k, I combo one card, build my Z energy. It's versus they swing at your 10k, you're taking those double strikes, you're taking that critical, whatever it may be that they're putting out. I don't have to take it.
Right. All right, so let's start with the main deck here. So we have 3 Spirit Bombs. So this is like the extent of the archetype stuff you're playing besides the Z deck. And I'm definitely curious, like why 3 of this when the leader kind of fetches it out?
Okay, so I played 3. I was playing 2 for like a month and a half. And then one game happened, they were both in my life. I said, I'm just putting 3rd copy in.
Okay, just for
sure.
ultra consistency.
Yeah, just to make sure I don't ever have nothing bad happen. And then, like, you almost never draw the 2nd copy because the way you sort through the top of your deck with the effect. So you just end up bottom decking them a lot of times.
Gotcha.
So it's not that bad.
And worst case scenario, you charge it for a post. I mean, that's not the worst either, I guess.
You can also put it under itself with your leader effect of the Z lead. So
okay, gotcha. All right, then we have 4 copies of our super combo, which means you are not playing Piccolo Gohan. You're playing You Are Number 1, which is the SCR that was pretty much made for this deck. And for your targets, you're playing 3 Universe at Stake, which I mean, you would play this card without the Secret Rare, I'm assuming. And you also got 1 copy of Full Power Spirit Bomb. So I want to take a quick look at this card because it's probably been a long time since some of us have seen it. So it's a 5-drop 25k double strike. When it's played, you draw 1, then untap 1. That's definitely an interesting usage off of the SCR. And activate main, choose 2 cards in life, add them to your hand. This card gains plus 10k for the duration of the turn. So this is pretty cool because it gets you like every last life out of your life that you need to basically ensure game. So kind of talk about the scenarios. Like, where would you go for Universe at Stake versus the Spirit Bomb Goku?
So if my opponent Dirty Burst blue, like that's why I played the 5-drop, is because Dirty Burst. So when you go, you are number 1. Let's say they have 3 energy open, they're going to Dirty Burst you, and I'm gonna play this out. Then I'm gonna rest out the energy. But if they have 2 energy open, they might not Dirty Burst because they know you might play this card. So then I could go to the 8, but it's there to ensure you get around Dirty Burst. And then I'd use it one time against red because I had Mira Oolong play. It was turn 5, and I wanted to use Mira and Oolong. So I just was like, all right, this is just better because they're tapped out. There's no way they can do anything because they're red. So I'll just do this instead, so I can get the Mira and the Oolong.
Yeah, it does seem really good when your opponent's tapped out. Like when you can get every single last life you have and then just go all in with maximum pressure. That seems really, really good. There was some like red-yellow Goku that people were talking about, like triple attack crit or something along those lines.
Yep.
Did you ever think about trying that one or try it?
I used to have it in the deck originally when I first built it. It was a 1-of. It was a 2-1-1 split, and I just didn't go into it enough to justify keeping it in, so I cut it.
Gotcha. All right, we have 4 copies of Vegeta Destined Battle. I think this is going to be a staple in Goku Vegeta decks going forward because really it's just a 1-drop 25k double strike that replaces itself. Like I don't think you can really ask for much more.
Best card for the deck to get. You just draw a card too, and the draw is not attached to the auto, like being on play. So even if they counterplay it, you still draw your card. So it's just a good card.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. 2 copies of Zarbon, mostly for this, I'm assuming, right? For the Vegeta.
No, it's for a different card in the deck, but I did it like once the whole weekend on him.
Gotcha.
I only play the 4-drop Vegeta to blow up other people's cards. I don't actually use it to like pressure my opponent. It's not. That's very
just
rare.
For removal, really.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And then 3 copies of Turles. So we haven't seen this card see play in quite some time. Why this card?
I gotta kill my opponent's battle cards. The Spirit Bomb in the backside of the leader rest the card. So I always got to control the pace I was damaging my opponent, and I always got to clear their board. So I was always thinking about having cards that replace themselves for one, because I don't have a draw unison in my deck. So I needed cards that replace. I don't want to lose my hand size. So I needed cards that replace the cards in the hand, and I also needed removal. So Turles filled that spot very well.
Gotcha. And then, all right, the full playset of the Swift Retaliation Cooler. So I guess let's talk a little about the theme of the deck. So we talked about it a little bit before the video started. This is like a turn 5 to turn 7 kill deck. Like, you're fueling the Spirit Bomb, you're trying to get to your Z leader, setting up what's basically an OTK. This is like, in some ways, a combo deck in that sense. For a deck that's going like so late game, why do you feel like you need 4 copies of Cooler?
One, I put them under Spirit Bomb a lot. Like, I don't ever want to not put a card under, so it sometimes has to go under. 2, the card, like, it's just a good card. It's one of the best yellow cards they've ever made. And 3, Gamma and 21, they play the most annoying floodgates. So I want to stop them, not even on my kill turn. I want to stop them before they even get there. I'll just, like, on turn 4, when I'm playing against Android 21, they'll play their counterattack 21 card, the double striker one, and I'll just cooler it. Like, I'll take my 2 cards, and you won't have that card on the board. I'm okay with that. You know, just.
And that attack is still going through, so yeah, that seems like a pretty good exchange. Yeah, coolering on that 4-drop 21 is actually so good because they think they'll kill your battle card even if it has barrier, and then you just cooler and you're like, yeah, no, you just lost like a ton of momentum. So that's really, really good. All right, 1 copy of Basil, and you're not playing the Supreme Kai of Time that fishes it out of the deck. Just, I think that's a cool interaction. But why the 1 copy of Basil?
I just wanted a 1-drop cantrip, and I didn't want to play like something that couldn't attack. So I just slid it in so it could draw me a card, also be a potential attacker. I played it 0 times on the weekend though, so.
Gotcha, maybe a potential cut.
Yeah, oh, it's gonna get cut. It's out.
Gotcha. All right, 3 copies of Sin. This is a no-brainer. I mean, especially in a Micro 2D version of the deck, like, this card is like the pinnacle of yellow control right now. So
yeah, that's what the Zarbon's for.
Oh, to get extra blocks out of this?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, so it's cool enough that it restands itself, and then Mike can block with it, and then Zarbon restand it. Gotcha, that's pretty cool. All right, 3 copies of Goku Vegeta Ultimate Duo. So I think I know your reason for the ratio on this is maybe because it doesn't replace itself like the Turles does?
Correct. That's exactly why it's 3. It doesn't replace itself, so.
Gotcha. Still an insane card though. 1 energy, and did you ever like was the negating skill part ever relevant for you for like an instructional?
It was.
Yeah.
Someone played a Sin Shinron 9-drop on top of their 4-drop, and I was like, all right, cool. Rest it with Spirit Bomb, Goku Vegeta.
Oh, that's nasty. Okay, that's really, really good. All right, we have our 4. All right, now we have actually a million floodgates. We have 4 copies of Overwhelming Might, of course, and like you said, with this deck having a Z leader, you can take full advantage of the effect. We have 4 copies of Robotic Riposte, as well as 3 copies of Goku Steadfast Assistance. Both these cards basically rely on our extra card count, so let's just go ahead and take a look at the extra card count. We have 1 copy of Power of Super Saiyan, of course. We have 4 full copies of T-Blow. We have 2 copies of Frieza Army Reinforcements, 2 copies of Time Magic, and then the rest are not extra cards, but we'll go over the extra cards real quick. So the full 4 T-Blow, I remember you talking about this with the team, that you just wanted to basically always have an answer to a floodgate. It's also good in the ramp matchup, too, like against 21, against Beerus, to stop their turn 2 ramp. So I think a lot of people would question this, but I think it actually makes perfect sense. Anything about the extra card lineup you would think about maybe changing, or you liked it?
Time Magic, I think Cooler wasn't that popular this weekend. I guess probably a downtick on people playing Cooler. Because I was only playing Time Magic for Cooler. So I would probably move it to the sideboard, or maybe just cut it together if Cooler's not going to be a popular played SCR. But the rest of it, I think, was fine. Gotcha. And just to note, Steadfast counts them on the field, so you can Steadfast on turn 2 like every time.
Oh, it does count on the field. Oh wow, so it counts your Spirit Bomb.
Spirit Bomb, yeah.
Oh, that's sick. I didn't realize that. Awesome. All right, cool. Then you have your 1 of Majin Buu Vile Onslaught, kind of like another Chomper replacement, right? Then you've got the 1 Mirror and the 2 Meta Coolers, because this card is just so cracked when you actually have a Z leader. I hate it in decks that don't have Z leaders, but in decks that have Z leaders, it's just like the freest type of negate.
Yeah, the Majin Buu, I think it's better in other yellow decks. In this deck, I don't apply enough pressure to like really get the value the other decks are getting out of it. But so I sided out a lot of games. Like I was like, it was only good against red. Like they're aggro, okay, they're tapped out. I could take the 30k double strike as like a decent. But against anything like tempo based, control based, it doesn't do enough for this deck. It does a lot more for like Trunks Vegeta and those decks, the Majin Vegeta.
Gotcha. And then we have our Z deck. So you have our 1 copy of Vegeta Terrifying Aid Instructions for whenever you need the barrier removal. 1 copy of Surmounting. And we have our Z Leader package. So yeah, was the goal of most games just like set them up for the Spirit Bomb all in?
That's when I enter the game. That's what I hope to do, right? But to be honest with you, you are number one. 5 out of my 7 opponents.
Okay,
So,
and that ended up being the main win con.
yeah, for this weekend, it could have easily gone other way, but like you play the deck for this, but you are number one can close the game up pretty easy, and a lot of times people just don't expect you to be playing it, so they just die to it. So
Right, they might be expecting like Gohan Piccolo or something. Yep.
yeah,
One copy of Overflowing Aura. This card is really nuts. Unfortunately, this deck you can't play it for one, I don't think. But
no, I can't.
how often are you casting this card?
I used it twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't use it to untap Vegeta though. I just used it to clear a battle card. I'm always just trying to keep that board clear. You keep your opponent's board clear in yellow, your floodgates are too strong at that point, right? They don't have cards to rest. They're resting energy at that point.
Right.
Nobody wants to rest their energy.
Then wrapping up the Z deck, we have one copy of Oolong and one copy of Hercule. So you were talking about this this could accelerate the Spirit Bomb. Basically, you're not playing a ton of like the main deck stuff, like the main deck Hercule or the Dende or anything like that. But this can get you to the Spirit Bomb a little bit faster. And with all the defense in your deck, I mean, yeah, turn 5, basically shutting your opponent down and then killing them is definitely super good. So,
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
I think, yeah, that card I played it one time. I reposted a guy and I had a sin on the board, so I started my turn 5 off with him, rested 2, got to 7, killed him. He didn't see it coming. He thought he was nowhere near getting Spirit Bombed, but he fell into it.
Right. All right, now let's go into our sideboard. We have 2 copies of Flying Nimbus. This just coming in against red or anything else?
Red, I play against anytime I need to play Death Blaster too. If I think you have Cooler in your deck, I bring in Flying Nimbus and I bring in Death Blaster because that's 1 extra card and I can pitch an extra card.
Right.
So that way I just have the 2 for Death Blaster.
Gotcha. 2 copies of Black Kamehameha, again for red or anything else?
That's for red, yeah.
Yep.
And Gamma, like, because they always have other cards, so I can just rest the other cards.
For sure. 2 copies of SS2 Trunks. What was the main matchup you're bringing this in for?
It sucked. That card's terrible.
Oh, so probably not going to side it in the future?
Yeah, no, I should have sided Meki Kubura. I thought about it too the night before, but I was just like, I'm gonna stick to the unison I have. But I don't think it's good against Android 21, and I just didn't play Android 21 this weekend. So like, it was a card. I played a card for a wrong reason, pretty much at that point. Like,
Gotcha. And you're talking about the yellow Meki unison, right? That you should.
Yeah, the yellow Meki unison is really good in the deck. Like, you just could play it on 4. You're pretty safe when you play that card on 4. Like, you Z Awaken, so you have Meta Cooler. You have him to block a card, rest a card. You're just in a really good spot.
Right. 1 copy of Clan of Terror Mecha Frieza. So this combo is with Mecha Frieza Robotic Riposte, and the old school play used to be like look at your opponent's hand and play their SCR, but nowadays all the SCRs have like these broken on play effects. So what was like your main idea behind this card, and like what matchups would you bring it in for?
I bring it in against blue and I bring it in against yellow. I want to take the 17 turn and tide out their hand as soon as possible. Like, just take it out so that way they're not set up and I'm in control of the game at that point. And then also against yellow, I could take their Gohan Piccolo out their hand.
Gotcha.
And then just pop it.
Sounds good to me. Then we have 2 copies of Black Smoke for the red unisons, for the Gamma unisons. Did you play against any hand control where this would have been maybe relevant?
I did play against hand control twice, actually. I played the Android 21 hand control deck twice. Game 1, the first time I played it, I lost. The second time I beat it, and that card was helpful when I did draw. And the second time I played against the deck.
Gotcha. All right, 2 copies Death Blaster, definitely for the cooler SCR. I think it's most likely too late against Gohan Beast, especially if they just happen to draw it early. But any other big cards you're bringing this in for?
I bring it against Gamma for the Perfect Force Cell also, just in case they're playing it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because that is actually a really sneaky win con in the blue-green Android decks. 1 copy of Final Flash. I think Final Flash is really good this format. I think it's very good against 21. I think it's got some other random niche uses. What were you bringing it against?
21 and just anything that had like a big scary card that you just want to Final Flash. It came in a lot. I've had it in the sideboard because I figured I may not need it in game 1 in Top Cut. So.
Gotcha. Then we have the 1 copy of Journey's Survival of the Fittest. You are playing a super late game yellow deck, so you definitely want to have the answer to Turning the Tide like you talked about. And then we wrap it up with 2 copies of BMS. Is this for 21 and anything else?
It's for 21, Gamma, Trunks, Vegeta. They all play cards that office effects. And so I figured I'd play it. Also against Golden, I played against my Golden opponent. It really slowed him down real bad. He just couldn't find a card to clear it. So,
gotcha.
All the decks that play cards off, that card was good. I wouldn't say it was like the best card, but it was good enough. So I didn't have to play like Whis and and Chi-Chi, a bunch of different cards, right? In those spots, like taking up more sideboard spots. Just condense it down to 2.
So cool. In closing, I want to talk about this a little bit because obviously we just recently got the new ban list for set 21, right? And I think the ceiling of the entire format is going to come down a decent amount. Like obviously the red stuff is coming down. The power of blue is taking a hit. Yellow didn't get touched. So I think a deck like this gets even better going into set 21. What are your thoughts on this deck's place going into that format?
I think this might be the best yellow deck, maybe. The Goku Vegeta deck, I need to from the new set, I need to explore it more. But of the current yellow deck, I think this is going to be the best one, to be honest. All the new cards work for the deck, and the deck was already good, in my opinion. I thought the deck was very good now. So like everything getting weaker, that means this gets stronger, and then it's got new cards that help it out a lot. So I think if this deck, Trunks Vegeta, they'll be the two best yellow decks. Where Golden didn't get anything, I felt, except one card, but every yellow deck got that one card, and I don't see how Golden's going to use it correctly. I feel like it doesn't work that well with their deck.
Gotcha. And I can agree with that to an extent. I think this will be a very, very good yellow deck for sure. But anyways, Mike's, any shout outs you want to throw out there?
Shout out to everybody on Crossroads, as always. Shout out to my local guys who went with me, Trevor, Broken TCG, and my boy Jimmy. It was his first regional. He went X3. I was proud of him, He could have been X2, but he lost his last round. I think nerves got to him or something, maybe. And shout out to George for running a great event. That was a very, very smooth regional, and it went by fast. So, yeah. And then shout out to anybody that that was there and spoke to me. I spoke to lots of people. It was a good time. And Jarrett. Jarrett beat me in top 16. That guy's broken. Too good at the game.
Gotcha, man. Well, awesome, man. Mike, thanks for your time. We'll see you next time.
All right.